Hi, and welcome. Thank you very much for joining me here today, ladies. We're here to talk about your business development journey and some of the work that we've been doing together. So I'm really excited about speaking with you today, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy days.
Thanks for having us.
Glad to be here.
Happy to join you.
Fantastic. So I have a few questions that I'd like to ask you, and I guess we'll start off with the easy one. Start with you, Sylvia. Maybe we could just do a round of introductions so that the viewers can familiarize themselves a little bit with who you are and what you do.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thanks again, Dan, for having me. I really appreciate it. I've enjoyed having the opportunity to work with you. So I am an arbitrator, mediator, and attorney located in Houston, Texas. I have practiced law for almost 30 years. I figure once I get over 30 years, I can stop counting. I was with a large international law firm for about 20 years and then set off on my own in 2014 to have a solo law and ADR practice. And at this point, my practice is almost exclusively neutral work. I still do a small amount of legal work as well. And I have certainly, like I said, enjoyed having the chance to learn and work with you over the last year or so.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, I'm Felicia Harris-Haas. I am also in Texas in the Houston market, but I actually work just a little. My office is a little bit south of Houston in Brazoria County, but my practice has always been in the Harris County downtown and Galleria area. I was a partner at two national law firms, but prior to that, I was at a boutique, a well-established boutique in the Houston area where I got most of my litigation training. And I've also had my own firms before turning my work into neutrals practice, which I did in 2021 after COVID, when I looked at the numbers of backlog cases and the need for experienced thinkers, experienced problem solvers. I decided to switch my practice to neutrals work. And so now I'm a mediator and arbitrator and negotiator here in the Texas market. Thank you, Dan. Again, I've enjoyed working with you as well. Echo everything Sylvia said, and I'm sure what Jennifer says is too.
Thank you very much, Felicia. That leaves you, Jennifer.
Okay. Hi, everybody from Los Angeles, California, not Texas. And I'm glad to be here as well, Dan. Similar to Sylvia and Felicia, I also have a law background and trained to be a mediator about 3 to 4 years ago. Before I was an attorney, I was a registered nurse. And so the majority of the cases I mediate involve catastrophic injuries, personal injuries, as well as physician employment issues, physician employment contracts. And I just have to say, in regards to working with Dan, it's been a real pleasure to work with him. It's a lot of fun, and I feel like we've got a lot accomplished. So I'm happy to share that today.
Thank you very much. Well, it's great to have you all on. So let's get into the, I wouldn't say the trickier questions, but some of the business related questions. I guess the first question I would have, which is two questions in one, would be, what was your situation like before we started working together, and what were you hoping to achieve by us working together? And I think I'll ask you, Felicia, to answer that one first.
Sure. Well, that's a great question. I appreciate it. Well, I started, as I mentioned earlier, I was a civil and commercial complex litigator. So switching gears from that sort of ideology in the marketplace to being more of a neutrals, having a neutrals practice, I really wanted someone to sort of help me rebrand and reach out to those networks that I was already involved in, but in a different light. And with COVID, it made it a little bit more difficult because the normal kind of marketing and relationship building that I did as a litigator, which was oftentimes in person with meetings and lunches and bar association meetings, a lot of that wasn't available to me. And so I saw one of your YouTube videos, Dan, and was impressed by your demeanor, was impressed by your style and by what you said. You seem to kind of get the way neutrals need to relate to their clients, both on the plaintiff side and on the defense side. And so I saw it as an opportunity to work with someone with some one-on-one coaching in this new market, with online being so critical to the way you reach out to people, but also a big part of it was the ability to collaborate with other experienced neutrals like Sylvia and Jennifer to share ideas, because the rising tide lifts all boats. It's a different legal market right now. And my practice is different from Sylvia's, it's different from Jennifer's, but we share a lot of the same challenges when it comes to marketing and reaching out and building those relationships. And I think we all want to do the same thing from what I can gather, and that is help lawyers help their clients find solutions to difficult problems. And so you've helped me sort of build some new ideas into my relationship building approaches through the online systems, but also incorporated into my other in-person comfortable ways of marketing as well. So that's kind of what I've gotten out of it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. What about you, Jennifer? Where were you and what were you hoping to achieve?
Yeah, great. I mean, great. First of all, great input, Felicia. That's well put. Where was I? Well, I think the best way I could explain it is I was very disorganized in what I was doing. I needed a way to do things. And very much like Felicia says, it was very different from the legal marketing I had always done. That came a lot more naturally. The relationships were a lot easier for me to build and clients to get. And so marketing as a mediator was actually, I thought it would be the same, but it was just an entirely new concept. And I was just sort of looking around online and trying to figure things out and, sort of seeing what would stick. And I didn't really have any concrete plan. And I'm a person that really likes control and thrives with systems. They comfort me. And so I feel like what working with Dan has really brought me systems. It's brought me a plan. It's brought me where I can, each day look at my marketing plan and say, I need to do this today. And I need to do this and I'll do this next. And, I've always looked at marketing, no matter what it is, sort of like, gardening. You're just going to keep planting these seeds, and hopefully eventually, things will sprout from them. And I've been, doing that very consistently and, definitely seeing things, start to sprout. And so that's what it's really given me as a path. And I greatly appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that's we'll see what Sylvia has to say, but I think that's a common denominator with many attorney mediators and arbitrators, that they find that the gardening tools and the seeds that they used in the law practice litigation is not necessarily the tools and seeds that you use for the practice as a mediator and arbitrator.
Well, so I certainly would echo a lot of the comments that you've already heard on this. What the catalyst for me signing up to work with Dan was really, I felt like my marketing had stagnated. I had gotten as far as I could, just making it up as I went along. And I really needed someone to help me rethink how to approach it and to be able to sift through the information you provided and find what worked for me, what I felt comfortable with, what fits my practice, what fits my personality. And that, I think, it's why I joined, and really talks about what I've gotten out of it as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Sylvia. And then I guess we'll move on and talk a little bit about the post. We're still working together, so it's not really post working together, but after we've worked together for a while now, what do you think are some of the main benefits that you've seen? And I guess we'll start with you, Jennifer, on this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's really an easy one. The main benefit that I've seen are a great host of contacts. I have a lot of meetings with attorneys about mediation. It's been really great. I have, so much on my plate now that I did not have before. And that's the greatest appreciation. That's what I was looking for, is to grow my mediation practice. And I, see that it's going to continue to grow, and I'm going to continue to do the work that I've got from these systems and be able to continue to see my practice grow. And so that's just really exciting. And that's would be the biggest reason I would, really encourage, the opportunity to work with Dan, because it really lifts you out of a place of not being sure to feeling, much more certain about pursuing a career in mediation.
Thank you.
So, I will build on that and say that sort of, as I mentioned before, I felt like my marketing had somewhat stagnated, and it really helped me re-incentivize myself, or re-energize myself rather, on marketing and renew my focus on how to get out in front of people, reconnect, and build connections. But one thing that I had not expected, and that actually has turned out to be perhaps the most valuable part, well, maybe an equally valuable part, is the opportunity to connect with other neutrals and to talk with other neutrals about their marketing, but also their practice. And that, I think, is something that I had zero expectation of, expectation that it would happen and or expectation it would prove valuable. And in fact, it has turned out to be immensely valuable to have that forum where I can chat with other neutrals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
And I would just build on that in the sense that when I watched one of your video interviews with one of our colleagues in this group, I was extremely impressed with the way you and he interacted. And I can say that one of the things from my practice now is that you've helped me. I get so busy on doing the work and trying to get a lot of stuff done that I neglect sometimes the systems and approaches that are necessary to keep watering those seeds, as Jennifer said. And what you've done for me, and I've actually encouraged you to do it, and you've done it great, is to remind me, hey, don't forget to do X, Y, and Z, and you hold me accountable. And that's really helpful. And in terms of you read books and you talk to other neutrals, and a lot of us feel a little isolated in our practice because a lot of us. I'm used to being in a firm where I can walk down the halls and talk with really intelligent people and get a lot of stimulation. When you're doing this kind of work, especially in the arbitrator role, you're really kind of isolated. And so to be able to talk with other individuals, experts, professionals about what's going on and how you're going about your marketing, in addition to how you're doing your practice, it's really valuable. And something that you can't really replace, I don't think, in any other way.
Yeah, and the group has even enabled actual like monetization opportunities. So it's been both the intangible as well as the tangible during the course of the past 12 to 18 months. So, but that's all really testament to the individuals. You are really what makes up the group, and that's what makes it so great.
And I want to say, I don't want to step on your toes, but I'm not sure I directly answered your question. My practice has become we met, I remember our first conversation, and I said, I've got a lot of work now, but you look at the next few months and I'm dropping off. I've now gotten to a point where it's pretty steady. It's not where I want it, obviously. I'm going to keep watering the seeds, but through, as Jennifer and Sylvia have mentioned, consistency, I've been able to get to a point where there's at least an expectation of a certain level that keeps growing, hopefully, and will keep to grow. So I appreciate your efforts on that.
Thank you. Yeah, and there was something that you said earlier, Felicia, which I really think is important and worth reiterating, the fact that a lot of what we're doing is not only limited to the online space, right? Because even though you do a lot of work online, Zoom mediations, arbitrations, etc., being able to connect with people in person or over video outside of LinkedIn and email and all of that is really crucial to be able to cultivate those contacts and make the most of them. So I'm happy that you brought that up.
My pleasure.
Excellent. So I guess I have one or two final questions, but since we are progressing so well here in the call, not wasting any time, I guess two questions that I'm interested in getting your feedback on, and whoever feels so inclined can comment on this. I often get questions when I speak with prospective clients on, I'm based in this location, this city, will your system work for me? And equally, I will get the question, I'm a commercially oriented arbitrator. Will this work for me? And my answer is always, that this system is really based on like human interaction and cultivation of relationships, etc. So it doesn't really matter if you're based in California or in Texas. Case in point here in the conversation. So is that something you would agree with, or?
Sure, I can jump in and say that I fully agree with that. It's really, you already explained it, I think, in your question, that it's really about connection and human interaction. And then going that coupled with the system. So you take those systems and you reach out. I would say the primary reach out is done on LinkedIn, and you really reach out and connect with other attorneys who are potential clients and have conversations with them. And, dare I say, it's even really enjoyable. I have to say, I've gotten to know so many people that I've practiced law alongside in the same community for many years. And we may have heard of each other's names, but we never really connected. And now we've had a Zoom call, and, we're reminiscing about old times and different people we know. And I just think not only is that super enjoyable, but it's very valuable in terms of business development.
That's great.
So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah,
that definitely applies across the board.
Yeah, I concur. I mean, I do think it's the human connection part that's so critically important to marketing, but also critically important as neutrals, that we connect with people. And I really think, if I look back, that's the thing I needed to have the cobwebs dusted off of, was that I really needed to be focusing on connecting with people. And it's been surprising to me to follow on to a comment Jennifer made. There have been people I've now connected with on LinkedIn who I've known for decades, but we were never connected on LinkedIn. And then we connect on LinkedIn and we engage in a dialogue. Or I connect with somebody on LinkedIn and I heard them make an argument, or I heard them give a presentation or whatever, and I can, engage with them and we have a dialogue, or vice versa. There will be somebody who I connect with on LinkedIn and they'll say, you don't remember me, but I saw you do this or heard you do that. And we engage in a dialogue. And so really at its root, while we've talked a lot about using technology and computers and videos and cameras and everything, really it's all about the people. And it's always about the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, Sylvia. And that is the key to building a neutrals practice, because as we've talked about amongst ourselves, unlike when you're representing a particular client where you want to relate to that client and have that client's confidence in you, now we need to have sometimes more than 2, sometimes 3 and 4 and 5 lawyers who are confident and trust us to help them help their clients. And so it really is about relationships. And I think that one of the things that is important about location is just really knowing what it is that you provide to those people you want to serve. And for me, for example, my practice has always been in the downtown Galleria market, right? I've always had offices in Houston, Texas, and represented clients either regionally, nationally, or internationally even. And so my marketing in that regard, for example, in the online space, it's going to be more on LinkedIn, and it is more on LinkedIn. It's where I reconnect with those people that I worked with or worked alongside or wanted to work with alongside in that role. In addition, though, I live just south of Houston, and I live in a smaller area where there are other courts. There's 3 counties that surround where I live, where they also have their court systems and lawyers and bar associations. And so I've also reached out to those and connected in a different way. They don't use LinkedIn as much, those bar associations and those lawyers and those bar associations. So I find myself using things like Facebook or personal notes or phone calls or personal emails more than LinkedIn for connecting. So I go back to, I think it really depends on what service you provide and how you can connect with those people you want to provide that service to figure out what works. But at its core, no matter how you're doing it, whether you're going to the courthouse and talking with lawyers or you're doing it on LinkedIn, it's all about relationships. And so it's just a culmination of everything that we've talked about and putting it all into the bucket, stirring it up and putting it in the oven and letting it bake.
That's good. We've got gardening and we've got baking now.
Great recipe.
Exactly. That's a great recipe. Yeah, there's so much that I could say, but I'm always mindful of time. But I'm glad again, Felicia, that you mentioned that it's not only about online, it's also about offline. But whatever avenue, it's all about relationships. And I guess what probably all of you have found by sort of recall a conversation with you, Jennifer, you mentioning that, okay, I'm doing this. I think it's working well, but how can I do more? So as you go about this business development journey, you obviously become more and more comfortable with things, and you are more and more ready to push the boundaries. And I guess that's also what it's all about, because we're not finished at any point with what we're doing. It's always about evolving and learning more. That wasn't a question, I think, Jennifer. that was an observation.
Yes, for sure.
Good stuff. So I guess we're sort of getting towards the end of the call. I'd be really curious, obviously, you've already alluded to this somewhat during the conversation, if you would recommend other neutrals, mediators, arbitrators, but also other professionals that sort of depend on relationships when providing their services, if you would recommend them working with performance laws and me, and whether there's anything else that you would like to add. I don't know who we should choose. Do we have any volunteers for that?
Well, I'm gonna dare to volunteer here. I don't really want to add to the gardening and the cooking, but I have to. These are really great tools, and that's what I needed. And so, all kidding aside, for whatever field or profession relies on these personal connections, these are really great tools that really sort of take the guesswork out of the marketing, which I greatly appreciate.
Thank you. Sylvia, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think as we've already said, it's a great way to dust the cobwebs off and sort of reinvigorate your marketing program. And I appreciate all that.
And the only thing that I would add is sort of, hopefully sort of a catchphrase, what I call the 3 C's for Dan. You get great coaching one-on-one, you get great collaboration and camaraderie with the other neutrals in our group that we interact with. And then the last one is you kind of help us build a little more confidence. And when we dust those cobwebs off, reminding us of things we knew, but maybe forgot or needed to brush up on. So yes, 100% I would recommend working with Dan.
Thank you very much. Well, you ladies are all very impressive. Who knows, maybe we need to have individual conversations next so that we get some more time.
Sounds good.
It's a pleasure visiting with you.
Thank you very much. And I guess I'll see you on the next group call.